After 3 years of dating Brooke, he still refuses to propose to me. Later, he fell head over heels for my stepsister Tina and began to pursue her with great fanfare. This time I didn't cry, nor did I silently wait for him to finish playing and turn back like before. She discarded all the gifts he had given her and shredded the wedding dress she had secretly bought. On his birthday, he left the capital city alone. Before getting on the plane, Brooke suddenly sent me a WeChat message. "Why aren't you here yet? Everyone is waiting for you." I smiled and didn't reply, blocking all his contact information. He didn't know that, just half a month ago, I accepted Fred's proposal at the university. After the plane lands in the new city, we will get married. Fred, I've made up my mind. I stand in front of the mirror, looking at my pale and frail self. It turns out that making an important decision in life isn't that difficult after all. "Alice, will you accept my proposal?" Fred's voice came through the phone, heavy and somber. A sudden pang of sadness struck my heart. As the tears fell, I nodded slightly. "I agree. Alice, do you know? I have been looking forward to this day since college." The me in the mirror, I don't know when, already has a faint smile at the corners of my lips. In half a month, I will have finished dealing with things here. "Okay, Alice, I will always wait for you." The moment the call ended, someone suddenly pushed my room door open from the outside with force. "Alice," Dad said, clearing his throat a bit awkwardly. "Your sister isn't feeling well, and your room gets good sunlight. How about you two switch for a few days?" I didn't respond, my gaze falling on my stepmother Delilah and my stepsister Tina, behind him. Delilah spoke up, "Joe, there's no need to trouble Alice." Tina also felt wronged. "Yes, Dad, I'm fine. Don't let me cause you to upset my sister." "What trouble is there? You are also my daughter." After saying this, Dad looked at me seriously. "Alice, you are the older sister, you need to be more understanding." I stared blankly at my father in front of me. I thought I would be very sad, that I would cry bitterly. Because my biological father loves my half-sister, who has no blood relation to him, more than he loves me. But I didn't shed a single tear. I even smiled and nodded at them. "All right, I'll switch with her. In half a month, I will leave here forever. It doesn't matter which room I stay in anymore." Dad looked very happy with my understanding. Delilah also smiled contentedly. After they left, Tina didn't go. "Sister, let me help you pack your things." She stood in front of me, incredibly well behaved. As she glanced around the room, there was an unmistakable smile in her eyes. I didn't expect Dad to agree to let us switch rooms. "Sister, are you really mad at me? After all, I just took your Brooke and now I'm taking the bedroom you've lived in for 10 years. I didn't want to pay her any attention and turned to grab my suitcase. But Tina suddenly let out a cry and fell hard to the ground. When she fell, her arm hit the corner of the table, leaving a bruise. "Alice, what are you doing?" Brooke had come upstairs at some point and just saw Tina fall. He frowned and quickly walked over, carefully picking Tina up. "Brooke, I'm fine. It wasn't on purpose, my sister." Tina was crying while forcing a light smile through the pain. "It doesn't hurt, Brooke. It's all bruised, and you still say it doesn't hurt." Brooke looked at the wounds on her snow-white arm, filled with heartache. But when he looked at me, his gaze suddenly turned cold, as if it contained frost and snow. "Alice, if you have any grievances, just come at me. Don't hurt Tina, she's already pitiful enough. Unlike you, born as the precious Alice, unaware of the hardships of life." I thought my emotions would no longer be swayed by him. I also thought I would never shed a tear for Brooke again. But after all, I am just an ordinary girl. I have no steel bones, nor an indomitable heart. The childhood friend I grew up with. The man I loved for 3 years. In just a few days, he fell for a younger, more delicate girl. He now sees me as a vicious and ruthless beast. I don't want to cry, I even want to laugh. But my tear glands are already swollen with pain. Brooke, don't you know what kind of person I am? Brooke furrowed his brow slightly. His gaze fell on my face, and there seemed to be a hint of softening in his expression. Tina suddenly started to cry. Brooke, don't argue with my sister because of me. I'm fine, it's only right that she's angry with me. Tina's crying was very soft, as if she had suffered great injustice. Brooke looked at my gaze, and in the end, it completely froze. You are jealous that I like Tina. Jealous of how good I am to her. Jealous that everyone loves her. Alice, you are no longer the person you used to be, the you now is already twisted, isn't it? He finished speaking, picked up Tina, and turned to leave. I watched their figures fade away. Suddenly, I realized that my tears had dried up without me noticing. This is also quite good. These days, I've cried many times, because of Brooke. From now on, I really shouldn't let him hurt me or shed another tear. In the evening, the friend group suddenly became lively. Brooke posted in the group, "What should I do if I suddenly want to get married?" The group instantly exploded with excitement. Brooke, you're finally going to marry Alice. People in the group began to tag me one after another. Congratulations, sister-in-law. Are you going to give out a big red envelope? Brooke, when will you invite us to celebrate your wedding with your sister-in-law? The group was in an uproar, and the news started flooding in. I was about to send a message to clarify. I am not their sister-in-law. Brooke's intended partner is not me. But Brooke was a step ahead of me. What nonsense is this? I never said the person I wanted to marry was Alice. After saying that, he pulled Tina into the group. Then he tagged everyone, "Look clearly, this is your real sister-in-law." The noisy crowd suddenly fell silent, and for a while no one spoke. Brooke, why is everyone silent? Say hello to your sister-in-law. People in the group started to greet Tina sporadically. I thought for a moment and still sent a message. Congratulations, wishing you 100 years of harmony. After sending it, I directly exited the friend group. As soon as I left the group, Brooke called. Alice, you need to come over right now. Where to? You know, the old place. Is something wrong? Apologize to Tina. Why apologize? You suddenly left the group just now. Do you have any idea what the other friends will think of her? Brooke's tone was stiff, yet incredibly assertive. I don't want others to slander Tina. I like her, and I want to give her an identity. She is innocent and shouldn't bear the label of a mistress because of your recklessness and impulsiveness. Even though I had long since learned not to let his actions and words disturb my emotions, at this moment, I felt a tightness in my chest that was almost painful. My fingers, gripping the phone, were trembling slightly. When she spoke, her voice trembled. Brooke, you can't bully me like this. What right do you have to treat me this way? You were the one who was unfaithful first. I did nothing wrong. I even congratulated you, wasn't that enough? I held back my tears with great difficulty. Yet my voice still carried a sobbing tone. The other end of the phone fell silent for a moment. Alice. This time I won't pursue it any further. But I hope you remember that Tina is innocent. Don't take your anger out on her, don't hurt her. The call ended. I sat on the carpet, trembling all over. In the framed photo on the bedside, my mother was looking at me with gentle love, and suddenly I was in tears, throwing myself forward to tightly embrace the frame. Through a layer of cold glass, I pressed my face against my mother's face. Tears kept falling, and in the photo, my mother seemed to be grieving for her daughter as well. I no longer wish to cry, nor do I want my mother to know my sadness. Once my mother's death anniversary has passed, I will take the belongings she left me and leave the capital forever, never to return here again. Tina moved into my room. As for me, I didn't go to live in her room. Instead, I casually found a guest room and settled in there. The bedding prepared for me by the servant was cold and damp. I simply slept in my clothes. After all, there were only a few days left. If I could just endure it, everything would be completely over. But the next morning, as I just got out of bed and went downstairs, I saw the table in the side hall where my mother's memorial photo and offerings were placed. It was a complete mess. Mom's photo was thrown on the ground, the frame shattered, and there were many scuffed footprints on the picture. The smiling mom seemed to be looking at me, crying in pain. The offerings were scattered all over the ground, and Tina's pet dog was gnawing on them. Tina stood by, clapping her hands in approval. I stood there, feeling all the blood rush to my head in an instant. All reason, all the thoughts I wanted to suppress, vanished without a trace. I picked up the vase and smashed it down on the little dog like a madman. The puppy ran away, and Tina screamed sharply as the shards of the vase cut her arm. "Alice! What are you doing? How could you lay a hand on your sister?" When Dad's voice rang out, Tina had already cried and thrown herself into his arms. "Dad, save me, my sister wants to kill me." "Alice, you are getting more and more outrageous. Can't you see?" She threw away Mom's offerings and damaged Mom's memorial photo. I was trembling all over, tears streaming down my face. I felt wronged for my mother, heartbroken. But Dad only glanced at the mess on the ground and frowned. "That doesn't mean you can hurt others." "Dad. Alice, your mother has been gone for so long, what do the dead matter compared to the living?" Tina, with her pale little face, timidly spoke up. "Dad, it was my little dog that accidentally knocked over the offerings. I was going to apologize to my sister, but as soon as she came downstairs, she rushed over and hit me. I didn't even have a chance to say anything before she smashed a vase at me." She raised her bleeding arm, looking pitifully at her father. "Dad, otherwise, Mom and I might as well move out." "The beast doesn't understand, do you not understand either?" Dad glared at me, suddenly raised his hand, and a heavy slap came down. I forgot to dodge. He seemed to be momentarily stunned as well. But in the end, he said nothing, turned around, and took Tina to tend to her wounds. I watched their departing figures for a long time, before I felt the burning pain on my face. I raised my hand to cover my slightly swollen face, and as the tears fell, I couldn't help but laugh mockingly. I knew that this home no longer had a place for me. In the middle of the night, I was suddenly awakened by cries and screams. Just as I sat up, the door was kicked open from the outside. Delilah burst in crying, and before I could gather my thoughts, I received several heavy slaps across my face. "How can you be so cruel? Hurting her during the day isn't enough, do you want to kill her too?" Delilah threw herself into her father's arms, crying loudly. She knew very well that Tina was allergic to peaches, yet she deliberately spilled peach juice on the bed and the pillow. She wanted to kill our daughter. "All right, stop crying. Fortunately, Tina took her medicine in time and she's not seriously hurt." Dad gently comforted her while casting a disapproving glance at me. "Alice, you have disappointed Dad too much. You should move out tomorrow. Keeping you at home will only disturb the peace of our entire family." I looked at the man in front of me. Originally, he was the closest relative I had in this world. He had loved me immensely, and I was his only daughter, cherished like a precious gem. But then, everything changed. I feel like the female protagonist in a novel who has had her fortune taken away, gradually becoming nothing. At first, I couldn't understand. I cried, I made a fuss, I argued. But now, I have finally awakened. The bond between my father and me has completely come to an end. The day I moved out of the Chin family, my father said to me, "After your mother's death anniversary, I will bring you back home." I did not respond. Only after they left did I cut up and burn all the photos of me and Brooke, and the ones with Dad, from all these years. In the end, I shredded the wedding dress I had bought 3 years ago. It was after Brooke confessed her feelings to me that I secretly purchased it. It is the wedding dress that I have fantasized about countless times since my teenage years, the one that looks most like a little princess. But now, it has been cut to pieces by my own hands. What remains are the various gifts that Brooke has given me over the past 3 years. There are novel and fun little trinkets, as well as valuable jewelry. I picked out the expensive ones, preparing to have my best friend keep them for me first. After I leave the capital, she will return it to Brooke for me. That way, we will truly owe nothing to each other. Those worthless little things that were just meant to make me happy. I didn't hesitate and prepared to pack them all up and throw them away. Once, I cherished even a small keychain immensely. But now, when it comes time to throw it away, I find that not a single ripple stirs in my heart. After doing all this, I carefully and meticulously wrapped my mother's portrait, gently placed it in the compartment of the box, and left the home I had lived in for 10 years without looking back. As I walked out the door, Brooke's car happened to arrive. I didn't even glance at it. But the car suddenly stopped beside me. The back window rolled down, revealing Brooke's handsome and noble face. My gaze merely brushed past, and my steps did not pause. Alice. Brooke furrowed her brow slightly. Where are you going? I dragged 2 very large suitcases, and walking was already a bit strenuous. I had no intention of stopping to chat with him. Therefore, I paid no attention and just continued walking outside. However, Brooke suddenly opened the car door and got out. Should I have the driver take you? No, thank you. I avoided his hand and continued to walk outside. Brooke held on to my wrist. Alice, why are you being so stubborn this time? If you cry to me like you used to, maybe I'll soften again. I forcefully shook off his hand and looked at him calmly. Brooke, it's not necessary. No need to cry, nor for his heart to soften. Time and again, I am already weary, exhausted. Sure, it's up to you. Brooke scoffed, but her eyes betrayed her disbelief. After all, in the past, no matter how sad I was, I always willingly waited silently for him to turn back. He had long since gotten used to it. Everyone around him said, I can never be apart from him. He believed it without a doubt. I dragged my suitcase, preparing to leave. Tina's gentle voice had already sounded. Brooke, you're here. She lunged forward, tightly grasping Brooke's arm, her body pressed against hers. Are you feeling any better from the allergy? Brooke brushed aside the stray hair from her forehead and examined her closely. Much better. Tina lifted her face, her eyes curved in a smile. Brooke, don't be mad at your sister. She said this while gently shaking Brooke's arm. It's really my own fault for being so weak. If it weren't for my poor health, Dad wouldn't have made me switch rooms with my sister. Then my sister wouldn't have taken her anger out on me. How can this be blamed on you? It's her own narrow-mindedness. Brooke glanced at me and deliberately pulled Tina into her embrace. Let's go in, your face is just right, don't let the wind blow on it. I watched the two of them embrace and leave, but my heart was as calm as a still lake, no longer stirred by even the slightest ripple. After my mother's death anniversary, Dad didn't come to pick me up. And Brooke's birthday arrived in the blink of an eye. If it were in previous years, I would have prepared the birthday gift early. Then I would have gone to great lengths to book a hotel and carefully arranged the birthday venue. But this time I didn't prepare a gift. I won't celebrate his birthday anymore. At 5 in the afternoon, I was in the car heading to the airport. New messages were coming in one after another on my phone. Dad is also urging me, why haven't you come over yet? Your aunt, Tina, and I are already here. Alice, you need to be more magnanimous. Brooke will become part of our family in the future. If you don't come, what will outsiders think? They'll think you sisters have grown distant. I find it utterly ridiculous, not a single word in response, so I might as well just block him. When I was getting ready to board, I suddenly received a WeChat message. It was from Brooke. Why haven't you arrived yet? Everyone is waiting for you. I smiled and replied with nothing, blocking all his contact methods. Then, I walked into the boarding gate and never looked back. It is already 7 o'clock. Brooke has not yet announced the start of the birthday party. He sat on the sofa, idly playing with a lighter in his hand, his expression indifferent. Yet from time to time, he would glance at his watch. Occasionally, he would unlock his phone screen. Brooke. Tina bit her lip and gently tugged at his sleeve. It was getting late, and everyone was hungry. Brooke glanced at her, a smile on her face, but inexplicably, that smile seemed to not reach her eyes. Are you hungry? He pinched Tina's cheek and teased her. I'm starving, I can't wait to eat cake. Tina nestled into his arms. Brooke caught a faint yet familiar scent. He paused for a moment and asked softly, What perfume are you wearing? I just grabbed it from the makeup room at home. Tina looked a bit surprised. What's wrong, Brooke? Does it smell bad? Brooke shook her head. It's quite nice. It seems to be the scent of the perfume Alice usually uses. I just can't recall the brand at the moment. As everyone laughed and started the cake fight, Brooke took a cigarette out to the balcony. There were still no replies on her phone, an eerie silence surrounding her. He remembered Alice saying that she would never miss his birthday again. But she broke her promise so soon. Brooke's eyes were cold and deep, her lips curling into a faint, icy smile. Alice, are you dead? Don't you know how to reply to a message? He clicked send. But the message couldn't go through, a red exclamation mark appeared on the screen, glaringly bright. He had been blocked. Brooke hardly hesitated and immediately called Alice. But the call could no longer go through. He stood on the terrace, gazing into the heavy night in the distance, feeling an indescribable nameless fire spreading within his chest. The one who didn't want her was him, and the one who found a new love was also him. The one who was somewhat tired of her and didn't want her to cling to him anymore was also him. But now everything is as he wished. Yet he seems not to be as happy as he had imagined. After I arrived in the new city, I didn't contact Fred right away. Instead, I first met my best friend Della from university. I want to share this secret with her. But for the moment, I haven't figured out how to tell her. However, to my surprise, at the welcome dinner that Della arranged for me, I encountered Fred. He was dressed in a black business suit, standing at the entrance of the private room, with a coat of the same color draped over his arm. The corridor light behind him fell on the colorful and exquisite mural, casting a splendid play of light and shadow. Yet he stood just outside that light and shadow, as if everything around him had become a mere backdrop to his presence. After several years apart, he seems even more handsome and composed than he was in college. After several years apart, his current identity, however, is that of my fiancé. My cheeks couldn't help but flush slightly. My gaze fell, fingers twisted tightly, gripping the lace at the hem of my skirt. Even my back was faintly damp with sweat. Della was already incredibly excited as she spoke. Fred, what brings you here? Tonight, while discussing business here, I happened to see an old classmate, so I came uninvited. Fred said this, but his gaze lingered on my face, pausing for a few seconds before slowly moving away. The old classmates don't mind if I join for a meal, do they? How could that be? Everyone was extremely excited and greeted enthusiastically. We can't even invite you if we wanted to. Fred then smiled and walked in. Then I won't be polite. He happened to be sitting directly across from me. The classmates all greeted him and exchanged pleasantries. Only I, from beginning to end, kept my head down and didn't dare to meet his gaze. But Fred seemed unwilling to let me go. Alice, have we become estranged after not seeing each other for years? Suddenly hearing my name called, I instinctively looked up, only to meet Fred's eyes, which held a faint smile. In an instant, my face flushed red, and the back of my neck felt hot. After a while, I finally got up and raised my glass. Fred, long time no see. Alice, long time no see. Fred looked at me deeply for a moment before clinking glasses with me. I took a small sip of the spicy wine and had just settled down slowly when Della tugged at my sleeve and winked at me. You two are acting strange, babe. What's wrong? From the moment Fred entered, his gaze never left your face. You must be mistaken, Della. Don't worry, sister is born with a gossiping nature, with sharp eyes that can see through any tricks between men and women at a glance. I couldn't help but press my lips together, my heart racing wildly, a chaotic mess. After graduation, I returned to the capital city with Brooke. I haven't seen Fred since then. Aside from the occasional holiday greetings on WeChat, there has been no contact at all. Until recently, Brooke began to pursue Tina with great fanfare. It was then that Fred suddenly contacted me. So far, we have only made a few phone calls. After agreeing to his proposal, this is still our first meeting. Even though we haven't even held hands, Della speaks as if we've already been through so much. By the way, Fred, do you have a girlfriend? I have a beautiful distant cousin, how about I introduce her to you? A female classmate suddenly asked a few questions, and the atmosphere instantly became lively. Della was not willing to back down. Fred, if you're single, take a look at our Alice. She's beautiful, well-behaved, has a great figure, and graduated from a prestigious school just like you. What a perfect match, right? I was both nervous and embarrassed, my face was so red it felt like it was about to bleed. Amidst the sounds of laughter and chatter, Fred's voice suddenly rang out solemnly. All right, Della, don't tease Alice. She has a thin skin, don't provoke her. Della made a face at him. Is Fred feeling sorry for the little junior? Fred smiled but did not answer, nor did he deny it. I stole a glance at Fred. He happened to be looking at me too. My cheeks flushed, and I quickly lowered my head. A message came in on my phone. Fred, wait for me a moment after dinner, I'll give you a ride. At the end of the gathering, I was waiting for Fred in the lobby downstairs. Suddenly, a friend from Beijing called. Alice, what have you been busy with these days? I haven't seen you at all. I have a bit of personal business to take care of. How about coming out to hang out for a bit? I smiled and said, no, you all go ahead and gather. Hey, Alice, don't hang up yet. It's like this, actually it's Brooke. Brooke is in a bad mood tonight, drunk, and won't listen to anyone. If you're free, could you come over and check on him? I'm worried he might drink more and end up with a stomach bleed. Call Tina. Alice, Brooke just sent Tina away. We can all see that he still has feelings for you, he regrets it. Don't say anything more, I've already broken up with him. I clutched my phone, my voice calm. From now on, his matters have nothing to do with me, and you shouldn't call me again. As soon as I finished speaking, a commotion erupted beside me. It seemed that someone had snatched his phone away. I didn't want to pay attention to this and was about to hang up when Brooke's voice rang out. Alice, it was them who took the liberty to call you, it has nothing to do with me. Then I'll hang up. Alice. Brooke called my name again. I could tell from his voice that he was heavily intoxicated. If it were in the past, I would have felt particularly sorry for him and would have started to nag him to drink less. But now, everything about him has nothing to do with me at all. I hung up the phone. After thinking for a moment, I deleted a few of Brooke's friends as well. I got to know them because of Brooke. We are completely separated now. Naturally, there is no longer any need to keep in touch. Alice. In the brightly lit hall, Fred stood not far to the front left. The shadows of the lights fell on his handsome face, making it seem somewhat hazy. I had just gotten up when Fred came walking towards me. Perhaps he was drunk, his steps were a bit unsteady. I couldn't care about anything else and hurried over to support him. Fred, did you drink too much and feel unwell? Fred nodded slightly, his head must be hurting a lot. He furrowed his brows, and there was a clear expression of pain on his face. Alice, my car is waiting outside, please help me to the car. All right, I'll help you out now. Fred was much taller than me, and for a short distance, we both stumbled along. When we got into the car, I momentarily lost my strength and balance, and I ended up falling directly into his arms. A faint aroma of wine, mingled with the heavy scent of ebony, enveloped me like a shroud. I came to my senses, feeling embarrassed and wanting to get up, but Fred held me tight. Alice, can I hold you for a while? Fred. I'm not dreaming, you are Alice, right? Fred suddenly cupped my face in his hands. The distance was so close that our breaths tangled in a chaotic dance within the small space. In his intoxicated eyes, there was a haze, a daze, disbelief, and an unspeakable bitterness. My heart feels as if it has been crumpled by someone's hand, both sour and painful. Fred. You weren't dreaming. It's me, I'm Alice. Before I could finish my sentence, a warm kiss landed on my lips. A kiss that is very shallow and light, gentle, to the utmost degree. I had not yet regained my senses, when Fred had already let go of me. Perhaps it was the surprise and unease on my face, along with the panic and astonishment in my eyes, that he had caught on to. He took my hand and pulled me to sit properly in my seat. The car had already started, and Fred lowered the partition inside. The enclosed space made me feel even more anxious. But Fred let go of my hand. Don't be afraid, Alice. I won't do anything to you in a place like this. He raised his hand and tidied my slightly disheveled hair at the temples. Alice, I will patiently wait until our wedding night. I lowered my head, my cheeks burning crimson, and after a while, I finally looked at him and softly murmured an mm. Brooke got drunk once again. No matter how his friends tried to persuade him, he wouldn't listen. He wasn't quite sure what had been causing his low spirits these days. Perhaps he had grown tired of Tina. After losing the novelty of her, he realized she was just mediocre. Perhaps he began to miss Alice's gentle, calm, and considerate nature. The last time a friend called, it was actually his tacit approval. But on the other end of the line, Alice kept refusing. He suddenly became angry, snatched the phone, and said a few words like that. But Alice said nothing, just quietly hung up the phone. She did not come to see him, did not come to take him home. Even when she knew he had drunk too much, and that his body might not be able to handle it, she remained indifferent. Brooke was reluctant to admit that, in that moment, he was actually a bit flustered. But he quickly reassured himself. Alice liked him for so long. They had been in love for 3 years, not 3 days, not 3 months. He knew very well how much she cared about this relationship. So, right now, she might just be too hurt, too resentful towards him, but if someone were to say that she really wanted to give up on this relationship, Brooke wouldn't believe it. Brooke, stop drinking already. Do you want to risk your life? Don't you know that everyone has been very worried about you during this time? Friend pressed down on the bottle, earnestly advising, I just called Tina, she'll be here to pick you up soon. Please stop drinking, okay? Brooke suddenly loathed the name Tina. He pushed his friend away and smashed the bottle violently onto the ground. Who told you to call her? Did I ask her to come? She is your girlfriend, who else would you look for? Who do you think my girlfriend is? Brooke scoffed. Don't you all know who my girlfriend is? Friends exchanged glances. Brooke, have you forgotten that you and Alice have already broken up? Yes, you mentioned in the group that we should call Tina's sister-in-law. Before leaving the group, Alice even congratulated you. Aren't you and Tina both getting engaged? I won't get engaged. Brooke had another bottle of wine opened. Brooke, you really can't drink anymore. Do you think I would listen to your advice? Yes, you won't listen to us, you only ever listen to Alice. If Alice were still here, you would have obediently gone home with her long ago, and you certainly wouldn't have drunk yourself into the hospital. Brooke didn't say anything, but she didn't deny it either. Her friend simply took out her phone. I'll call Alice right now. If you won't listen to her either, then we're out of options. But what everyone least expected was that the call could not be connected. All the friends in the room tried at once. Their numbers were all blacklisted by Alice. The air seemed as if it was about to freeze. Brooke sat on the sofa, her eyes seemingly filled with frost. Alice might be too angry. Yeah, Brooke, after all, this time you broke up with her in a dramatic way and ended up with her nominal sister. Anyone would feel wronged and unable to bear it. It seems that she has been living alone outside for some time now. Recently, on the anniversary of her mother's death, my cousin saw her coming back from the cemetery, her eyes swollen from crying. Brooke, why don't you go find her at her apartment? Brooke suddenly thought of the day Alice moved out of the Chin family. She dragged 2 huge suitcases, not looking back even once. That was originally her home, her family. But later, the home became Tina and her mother's. Dad also became Tina's dad. At that time, he was foolishly captivated by the young and delicate Tina, only to cast her aside like a worn-out shoe. At this moment, what floated before Brooke's eyes was the last look Alice had given him. Calm and unruffled, devoid of any emotion. It was as if he were just a stranger, an inconsequential passerby in her life. Brooke suddenly stood up, but just as he was about to walk out, Tina suddenly pushed the door open and came in. Brooke. Tina still had that weak and timid expression. Her beautiful almond-shaped eyes were always watery, as if they were about to shed tears at any moment. It's easy to think that someone has bullied her. Why are you drinking so much again? Tomorrow you'll be complaining about a headache. Tina walked over, linking her arm through his, her voice soft and filled with concern. Brooke was about to speak when he caught a whiff of a familiar perfume. His heart suddenly stirred, and the hand that was meant to push Tina away came to a halt. Why does it smell so good? Brooke's suddenly gentle voice made Tina feel both shy and excited. Is it still that brand from last time? Tina's smile faltered for a moment, but she still nodded. Yeah, still that one. Tina appeared happy on the surface, but deep down, a slow, unspoken resentment began to grow. This perfume was taken from Alice's makeup room. She had originally wanted to throw it all away, even though they were all high-end brands, still unopened. But Brooke only liked this particular scent. Later, she tried other scents, but he looked quite disdainful. She could only pinch her nose and continue using this one. As long as you like it, that's all that matters. If you like it, I'll use it every day from now on. Tina tilted her face up, her beautiful eyes shimmering with a captivating watery hue. Brooke suddenly changed her expression. Then, she even raised her hand and forcefully pushed her away. Brooke? Tina was baffled, and the other friends were equally astonished. Tina. Brooke looked at her with a blank expression, his tone even and calm. But anyone could see that he was furious beyond measure at that moment. Brooke, what's wrong with you? Tina tried again to grab his arm. But this time, Brooke simply raised his hand and slapped her hard across the face. Brooke, you hit me? Tina covered her face, tears of grievance welling up in her eyes. But Brooke let out a cold laugh. Aren't you allergic to peaches, Tina? Didn't you cry to me about how Alice had someone spill peach juice on your bed, nearly causing you to die? I am indeed allergic to peaches, and Dad knows it too. Alice had the maid put peach juice on my bed, and that's how Dad found out. Tina covered her face and cried, feeling wronged. Still making excuses. Brooke suddenly stepped forward, tightly gripping Tina's collar. He was very tall, and with this move, he nearly lifted Tina off the ground. Brooke, let go quickly, I can't breathe. Brooke lowered her gaze and stared at her, his handsome face gradually twisting. Tina, have you forgotten that you're wearing Alice's favorite perfume? This is something I bought for her countless times before, but I later forgot. Brooke suddenly laughed at himself, he had forgotten too much. He had forgotten how deeply Alice had been infatuated with him over the years, how much she had invested her feelings in him during all this time. He forgot the 3 years of love and companionship between them, and he also forgot how much she longed for them to achieve a happy ending together. He forgot that when they broke up, Alice was silently crying in front of him, yet she accepted all of reality in silence. He forgot the girl he had once loved so dearly, so kind and gentle. He forgot that he had once cherished her like a treasure, only to abandon her. He forgot too much, and thus he faced his retribution. The heart notes of this perfume are white peach and gardenia. You said you are allergic to peaches, so how come you, who uses this perfume every day, have no allergic symptoms? Tina's eyes suddenly widened, her face pale as death. She was trembling all over, shaking uncontrollably. So, from beginning to end, you have been lying. You plotted against her, deceived me, and also deceived her father. Tina, I was truly blind to have liked a woman like you, full of schemes. Brooke let go of her hand and forcefully pushed her away. Tina fell softly to the ground, trying to defend herself, but she couldn't find a single reason. This bottle of perfume was indeed the one she used every day, irrefutable evidence. I will tell everyone your true colors. Brooke looked down at her one last time, dropped this line, and slammed the door as she left. When the driver sped all the way to Alice's apartment building, he saw that her window was pitch black, with no lights on. Perhaps she had fallen asleep, but Brooke did not want to give up. He just wanted to see her as soon as possible, to apologize, to admit his mistakes, and to seek her forgiveness. No matter how he rang the doorbell or knocked on the door, Alice did not come out to open it. Later, the neighbor, unable to bear the disturbance, called the property management. It was then that he learned from them that Alice had already moved out, and she had entrusted the property management to help sell the apartment. Where did she move to? Is she still in the capital? Will she come back? When will she return? Brooke knows nothing. He had only one thought deep in his heart, a thought that filled him with extreme panic. Like a beast lurking in the shadows, it was waiting for the moment to devour him. He has lost Alice. He may, forever and ever, completely and utterly lose Alice. The various schemes and slanders that Tina and her daughter had plotted against Alice were finally all exposed. Even the servants of the Chin family stepped forward to speak up for their Alice. The day the mother and daughter were driven out of the Chin family's residence, they were in a very sorry state. Like drowned rats, they were beaten by everyone. Brooke stood among the withered crabapple blossoms in the garden, and suddenly her eyes turned red. The begonia flowers may wither, but will bloom again. Yet some people leave and will never return. In recent days, Uncle Chen has tried every possible way to contact her many times. But as soon as the call connects and she hears their voices, she always hangs up in silence. When she left the capital, she took not only the belongings, but also all the inheritance her mother had left her. The Chen family today is nothing but an empty shell. They all know that she will never return. Not far away, there were sounds of commotion and a woman's cries and curses. Perhaps it was because the dream of wealth had shattered, that Tina and her daughter revealed their originally sharp and bitter true selves. "Open the suitcase, I want someone to check the luggage." Joe stood on the steps, looking somewhat haggard. Brooke looked at the elderly man in his twilight years and felt just as pitiful and ridiculous as he was. How absurd that they would drive away such a wonderful Alice for the sake of these two women. This is all retribution in this world. The mother and daughter refused to open the boxes, starting to throw a tantrum. But in the end it was all in vain. Dozens of huge boxes were forcibly opened. Beneath the piled clothes lay a trove of valuable bags and jewelry. Apart from their clothes, they are not allowed to take anything else. Joe's face was grim as he issued the order. The mother and daughter cried out and rushed forward, wanting to snatch back the jewelry. But they were pushed aside by the bodyguards. Not only were the valuable items in the box emptied, but the jewelry they were wearing was also taken off. Tina struggled fiercely, her earlobe torn, blood flowing from her neck to her chest, creating a particularly chilling sight. Yet her father, who usually doted on her, didn't even spare her a glance. He waved his hand, as if shooing away annoying mosquitoes and flies, driving the mother and daughter out. As Tina stepped out the door, she was still unwilling to give up. She clung to the doorpost, refusing to let go, and shouted hoarsely, "Brooke, you can't treat me like this, you can't. I'm pregnant, the child is yours, you have to take responsibility for me." By the time she finished shouting, she had become almost delirious, resembling a madwoman. "Brooke?" Joe turned to look at him. Brooke felt an indescribable nausea, wanting to laugh, but unable to. How could he have ever liked such a repulsive woman? "Uncle Joe." Brooke walked over, looking at the old man in front of her, whose hair had turned half white. "I never touched her. I swear, I have never touched her." That's good, that's good." Joe let out a long sigh and waved his hand again. The bodyguards dragged the two of them out, and the cries and noise faded away. The setting sun slowly sank, enveloping the entire vast estate. Both of their gazes fell upon the sprawling, withered begonia flowers. The begonia flowers had fallen asleep, unaware of when they would awaken again. That was Alice's mother's favorite flower. After she left, it was Alice who took care of it. Now that Alice has also gone, the flowers are wilting in the spring. Joe wiped his tears. "I'm sorry, Alice. I'm sorry to her mother, I'm sorry to her, Brooke, it's my fault for being so confused. I promised her mother that I would take good care of her and love her, but I broke my word. Do you think I will be punished for it?" Alice, how sad and wrong she must have felt during those days. Brooke, your mother's portrait has been restored, and I will have the house renovated as well. You asked, will Alice still come back home with me? Brooke didn't know, he had no answer. Perhaps he did, but he was unwilling to admit that answer. In the heavy twilight, he could only suppress the sadness in his heart and comfort him. Uncle Joe, Alice has always been soft-hearted. He couldn't continue. They all clearly knew what her true nature was. Why, at the beginning, did they act as if they were possessed, bullying her and hurting her like that? My wedding with Fred was held in the spring of the second year. My best friend Della, as we had promised in our youth, was my only bridesmaid. I did not inform any relatives or friends in the capital. Yet somehow, the news got out. On the day of the wedding, both Dad and Brooke surprisingly showed up. Fred came to ask for my opinion. The makeup artist was applying makeup on me, and I instinctively looked up, seeing myself in the mirror along with my future husband. The bride's makeup needs to be a bit heavier, so the reflection of me in the mirror is quite different from usual. Like the Chinese flowering crabapple that Fred specially planted for me in the wedding room. It blooms shyly, beautiful yet captivating. Fred, dressed in a black groom's suit, was even more strikingly handsome. We exchanged a glance, and in that moment, there was a shared smile in each other's eyes. I don't want to see them. Fred nodded without hesitation. All right, I'll have someone ask them to leave. Okay. Old people and old stories, I no longer wish to see or recall them. Those scars remain deep in my heart, but one day they will slowly fade away. In this life, my ties with family are shallow, I can't force it, and I don't want to force myself anymore. Everything was in order, and as I walked onto the stage in my pure white wedding dress, holding my bouquet, Fred couldn't wait for me to come closer. He rushed towards me, extending his hand, eager to take hold of mine. I also reached out my hand to him. Amid countless blessings and laughter, our hands were tightly clasped together. Fred lowered his head and kissed me, a kiss that felt as if no one else existed. That kiss was long, so long that I thought I might not be able to breathe, and only then did he finally stop. As the ring slipped onto my ring finger, Fred gently whispered in my ear, I love you, Alice. A long, long time ago, and for a long, long time to come. I looked up at him, my eyes filled with both laughter and tears. Fred, I will also strive to love you well. He gently held me close. Okay. The wedding that day was incredibly luxurious, yet also immensely romantic. Brooke and Joe never set foot inside the wedding venue. But they all tacitly refrained from suggesting leaving. Only Joe couldn't hold on until the end of the wedding. He suddenly suffered a heart attack and was taken to the hospital by ambulance. He was rescued, but remained in a coma. He stood there until the wedding was over. For some reason, Alice's best friend Della never blocked him. So, he almost witnessed the entire wedding through Della's social media posts. Brooke already knew before the wedding that Alice's groom was Fred. He was a top student from her university, exceptionally talented, and she had praised him many times before. At that time, they were still in the ambiguous stage, and every time she heard him, she felt very jealous. So Alice later stopped bringing it up and deliberately distanced herself from Fred. But he never expected that after all the twists and turns, Alice still ended up marrying him. As a man himself, Brooke could almost tell at a glance. Fred loved her very much. In every photo and every video, the way he looked at Alice was both affectionate and focused. Brooke seemed to see a reflection of his former self. He had once loved Alice in this way. Until later, when he thought he had grown tired of it, weary, he was captivated by a younger girl. In the end, he lost her. By the time he suddenly woke up and wanted to turn back, it was already too late for regret. Fred's car took her away. Were they heading back to their marital home? Brooke could not describe the bitterness and sourness in his heart. He had heard that there were large patches of crabapple flowers planted in their marital home. It is now spring, the most beautiful time of the year. Those crabapple blossoms must be blooming incredibly beautifully. On the way back to Beijing, as Brooke drove onto the elevated bridge, it was deep into the night. The long bridge was completely empty. He pushed the car to its maximum speed, the fastest, then turned the steering wheel and closed his eyes. The speeding car crashed heavily into the railing. After the loud bang, everything returned to tranquility. If there is an afterlife, he wants to return to the year he first met Alice. This time, he would definitely love her well.